Gopi Janavallabha Girivara Dari Gopi Janavallabha Girivara Dari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vana Chari Yamuna Tira Vana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privajakacarya Astotar Shri Śrimad Nitya Leela Pravishna Om His Divine Grace Shila Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj ISKCON's BBD founder Acharya Jagadguru Bhadita Bhavana Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Śrimad Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Yugadharma Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagna Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda New York Yatra Dham Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Prandi all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. For Premanandi Haribol. Drink of water. Reading from the Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, entitled The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. We are reading today verse number 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Naspareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki Brigu Uvacha Yat Mayaya Ahanaya Aprita Atmabodha Rāma Adaya Tanubrita Tamasi Sapanta Na Atman Tritam Tava Vedanti Aduna Api Tatvam Sa Ayam Prasidatu Bhavan Pranata Atma Bandhu Brigu Uvacha Yanmayaya Gahanaya Pada Dritatma Bodha Brahmadayas Tanubritas Tamasi Svapanta Nat Man Shritam Tavavidanti Aduna Pitatvam So Yam Prasida Tu Bhavan Pranatatma Bandhu Brigu Uvacha Yanmayaya Gahanaya Paritatma Bodha Brahmadayo Tanubritas Tamasi Spapanta Nat Man Shritam Tavavinat Aduna Pitatvam So Yam Prasida Tu Bhavan Pranatatma Bandhu Brigu Uvacha Yanmayaya Gahanaya Paritatma Bodha Brahmadayas Tanubritas Tamasi Spapatanta Nat Man Shritam Tavavinanti Aduna Pitatvam So Yam Prasida Tu Bhavan Pranatatma Bandhu You know, on the switchboard with the lights, you ever, the ones that say level 1 and 2, turn those on, see if that should be front row here. Wonderful. Ladies, please. Brigur Uvacha Sri Brigu said, Yat hu mayaya, by illusory energy, dahanaya, insurmountable, aprita, stolen, atmabodha, knowledge of the constitutional position, Rāma adaya, Lord Brahma, etc. Tanubrata, embodied living entities. Tamasi, in the darkness of illusion. Svapanta, lying down. Na, not. Atman, in the living entity. Shritam, situated in. Tava, your. Vidanti, understand. Aduna, now. Api, certainly. Tattvam, absolute position. Sa, you. Ayam, this. Proceed to, be kind. Bhavan, your lordship. Pranatatta atma, pranata atma, surrendered soul. Bandhu, friend. Translation. Sri Brigu said, my dear Lord, all living entities, beginning from the highest, namely Lord Brahma, down to the ordinary ant, are under the influence of the insurmountable spell of illusory energy, and thus they are ignorant of their constitutional position. Everyone believes in the concept of the body, and all are thus submerged in the darkness of illusion. They are actually unable to understand how you live in every living entity as the supersoul, nor can they understand your absolute position. But you are the eternal friend and protector of all surrendered souls. Therefore, please be kind towards us and forgive all of our offenses. Purport by His Divine Grace, ISKCON's founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Brigu Muni was conscious of the scandalous behavior exhibited by each and every one of them, including Brahma and Lord Shiva in the sacrificial ceremony of Daksha. By mentioning Brahma, the chief of all living entities within this material world, he wanted to state that everyone, including also Brahma and Lord Shiva, is under the concept of the body and under the spell of material energy. All but Vishnu. That is the version of Brigu. As long as one is under the concept of the body itself, it is very difficult to understand the supersoul or the supreme personality of Godhead. Conscious that he was not greater than Brahma, Brigu included himself in the list of offenders. Ignorant personalities or conditioned souls have no choice but to accept their precarious condition under material nature. The only remedy is to surrender to Vishnu and always pray to be excused. One should depend only on the causeless mercy of the Lord for deliverance, not even slightly on one's own strength. That is the perfect position of a Krishna-conscious person. The Lord is everyone's friend, but He's especially friendly to the surrendered soul. The simple process, therefore, is that a conditioned soul should remain surrendered to the Lord, and the Lord will give him all protection to keep him out of the clutches of material contamination. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umlitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagwajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Chajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dibyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Śrimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Śrimad Radha Shilagovinda Devo Prastalabi Savyamano Smarami Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Askita Deshatarane Yanmaya Yagahano Gana Ya Patritatma Bodha Pramadayastanu Britas Tamasis Vapanta Nat Mantritam Tanu Tavavidanti Udunapi Tatvam Soyam Prasida Tobavan Pranatatma Bandhu. Bhrigu Muni said, My dear Lord, all living entities, beginning from the highest, namely Lord Brahma, down to the ordinary ant, are under the influence of the insurmountable spell of illusory energy, and thus they are ignorant of their constitutional position. Everyone believes in the concept of the body, and all are thus submerged in the darkness of illusion. Thus, they are actually unable to understand how you live in every living entity as the supersoul, nor can they understand your absolute position. But you are the eternal friend and protector of the surrendered souls. Therefore, please be kind towards us and forgive all of our offenses. Srila Prabhupada says in one place, we should always be conscious of our... Not loud enough? Hare Krishna. Make it louder so I don't have to... I have to keep it... Oh. That should be remedied. Anyway. Hare Krishna. We should always be conscious of our position now in comparison to what we were. So we can always appreciate the exalted position that we've been in, and to always be vigilant and very careful and extremely grateful and thankful, so we don't fall again to the life of illusion that we were saved from. So every aspect of what Srila Prabhupada has given us, morning program and devotional service, and especially, which is his personal mission to his spiritual master. I think that you can preach our movement to those not conversant with the language of the already established members. This will do good for you and for those who will help you. I think you should turn yourself into a very good English preacher to inculcate the novel teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That was the last instruction, which more or less was a codification or complete, mature, and final emphasis upon the first sighting back in 1922, when Srila Bhakti said, you are an intelligent young man, why don't you preach Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world? We glorify Srila Prabhupada, who's very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, Bhutale. The pure devotee, especially the Nitya Siddha Parikar, they are coming down from Goloka Vrindavan. Uh, uh, after this, after some time, there's the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, but then Maharaj Prithu. There's, let's see if the painting is in the book here, that Lord Vishnu was very pleased with Maharaj Prithu, and he came down to this earth planet. And because he was not accompanied to walk on earthly ground, he was putting his hands on the shoulders of his attendants, Jai and Vijay. Prabhupada is not accustomed to walk on earthly ground. So Prabhupada said that I'm like a wheat thresher. You bring, in the spiritual world or any place you bring me, I will do the same thing. So Lord Chaitanya, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, this is in the beginning verses, I believe, 16, 17, 18, Adi Leela chapter 7, the Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, that the Lord comes down from the spiritual world, and only with his most confidential associates does he preach Krishna consciousness and distribute love of Godhead to the people in general, and to taste it himself personally in exchange with his personal eternal associates, of also included those who are meant to be elevated to the same status by such energized and empowered pure preaching. So that taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, it's not that, okay, it's like it's raining, let's take shelter. And we're like standing there under a shelter, and we're doing nothing, waiting for the rain to end. I remember one time we were in Bowling Green, right, in this big rainstorm, and there was some scaffolding, and we're just like helpless. So that's not the type of taking shelter. Devotional service is dynamic activity, and the pure devotees can find novel means to inject Krishna consciousness into the dust-worn minds of human society. Such activities of the pure devotees can bring about a complete transformation of the world. And then in another, I'm like mixing. This is from the first canto. On the other hand, that literature, which is full of the name, fame, form, qualities, pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation meant to bring about a revolution in the lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Narada Muni was telling Vyasadeva that some 5,000 years ago, and only up until the time of Srila Prabhupada, so this is revelatory and predictory of Narada Muni, certainly in the category of such a saintly person, Tri Kalagna, seeing past, present, and future, as the Lord does. I know past, present, and future of everyone. So the prediction of Srila Prabhupada to come to make a mass book distribution revolution. The 6 Goswamis, they wrote the books, but distribution wasn't really undertaken until the time of, well, our Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, certainly. And Prabhupada learned from him the Brihad Madanga. If you ever get money, print books. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was very discouraged towards the end of his stay, and even indicated that he minimized the time that he stayed in this world because he was dissatisfied with the rivalry, infighting, and, let's say, disloyalty of his leading disciples. That is the history, as Srila Prabhupada has reported to us. And he confided in him personally. Since we've gotten this big marble temple in Bagh Bazaar, there's been so much envy and infighting. When we were living in the Uttadanga Junction, and if we could gather 200, 1920 or so rupees per month, we were living. We were much happy back then. I wish to take the marble from this temple and print books. And if you ever get money, print books. So the way that the pure devotee takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus being very dear to Lord Krishna, and by that taking shelter has become an ocean of transcendental mercy for all the fallen souls, and is glorified all over the three worlds, all over the universe, is because of him preaching and distributing Krishna consciousness. So this is a very wonderful section of the Śrimad Bhāgavatam. This is the first of a number of prayers and statements by important personalities. The appearance of Lord Vishnu after things were set right, after great mistake, offense, devastation, and just unprecedented departure from not only just normal civilized dealings, but extraordinary, violence and envy and hatred from leading personalities. That's what Prabhupada says here in regards to Bhrigu Muni, who's the leader of the Brahmins. Of anyone present who should know the position of Lord Shiva, how exalted is his position, and not be bewildered by his external appearance and activities, understanding his confidential position, taking charge of the qualitative mode of ignorance, not like somebody else takes the mode of ignorance. Here, let's just dive in, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, let's go. But he's taking charge of those in the deep, dark modes of ignorance for their ultimate benefit, rectification, and perfection. And certainly such a personality as Bhrigu Muni should know the actual inner heart of Lord Shiva, as will be revealed later in this canto in the 24th chapter, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. It's kind of like he reveals, being Lord Shiva, for those in the mode of ignorance, that's my day job. But what I want to do is be a devotee of Krishna in Vrindavan. And he even tells the pious prachetas, those who are my devotees, Shiva, Shiva, I am your believer. I cut my flesh to please Mahesh. Brikasura, come quickly, O Lord, come. We put on a play one time, and that was the line. I will give you whatever benediction you want. Anything? Well, let me see. I would like the benediction that anyone's head that I touch with my hand will immediately crack into a million pieces. Ha 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 ha. This is a devotee. So such devotees of me are not actually dear to me. Could you imagine thinking that such a personality as a Brikasura demon is dear to you? You'd be running for your life, But those who are devotees of Lord Krishna, they are very, very dear to me. And because you prachetas are so devoted, I've personally come before you. So Bhrigu Muni should have understood that. Yet he engaged in cursing and counter-cursing, supporting Daksha in his obvious maha-aparad and offense, ultimately causing the chosen suicide by Sati Devi, who was Durga Devi herself, the eternal chaste consort of Lord Shiva himself. Bhrigu Muni was conscious of the scandalous behavior of each and every one of them. So Prabhupada, in the purport, he's giving us very sober and chastening information, the power of the illusory energy. every living entity in this material world, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was intrigued that during the churning of the milk ocean, through that long back and forth saga, that at one point the Lord Vishnu, took the incarnation of the most beautiful Mohini Murti. And Lord Shiva wanted to see and experience this incarnation. And Lord Vishnu kind of warned him, I don't think this is going to be good for you. And as predicted, Lord Shiva became greatly bewildered by Mohini Murti. And just to show all the sages and saintly persons, in particular those who are worshiping Lord Shiva, how their Lord Shiva is bewildered by Mohini Murti, Lord Shiva is chasing Mohini Murti, and he purposely, Mohini Murti went past all the hermitage and sages of the sages so they could see. Lord Brahma, he steals the calves and cowherd boys of Krishna himself. Lord Brahma should have not been so bewildered to give such benedictions. I will not die in the land, sea, or the sky, on the day and the night, inside or outside of any residence, not by any weapon, not by any creature created by Lord Vishnu. Vishnu doesn't create himself. By any weapon, alive or dead, yes, I'm safe. My dear Lord Brahma, O great Lord born from the lotus, giving benedictions to such demons who are envious is not good. I warn you not to give such benedictions in the future. By mentioning Brahma, the chief of all living entities within this material world, he wanted to state that everyone, including Brahma and Lord Shiva, is under the concept of the body and under the spell of material energy, all but Vishnu. As long as one is under the concept of the body as self, it is very difficult to understand the supersoul or the supreme personality of Godhead. Conscious that he was not greater than Brahma, Bhrigu included himself in a list of offenders. Actually, he was one of the main offenders. Ignorant personalities or conditioned souls have no choice but to accept their precarious position under material nature. Prabhupada said of his disciples, Western disciples, is that you're not sufficiently afraid of Maya. The only remedy is to surrender to Vishnu and always pray to be excused. And because our main individual and collective devotional service is to, like a well-tuned and cooperative army, is to distribute Krishna consciousness as quantitatively and as qualitatively simultaneously as possible. Prabhupada says, when in the section of the Adi Lila chapter 7, where Prakashananda Saraswati is asking Lord Chaitanya, after being attracted by his beautiful effulgence and his humility of sitting in the shoe room and not, in an elevated position with the rest of all the sannyasis, says, my spiritual master considered me a fool. You are not fit to study Vedanta. You should simply chant the holy name, which is the essence of all religion in this age of Kali. And in that section, in those beautiful purports, Prabhupada says, we should never think of ourselves as great preachers. We should simply aspire to be instrumental, instruments, to chant Jai Radha Madhava, where I have if I had a hammer, I would, or a hammer to bang the nail as it's required, or to turn the screwdriver. There's no so we should simply aspire to be instrumental in the hands of the predecessor acharyas. Then, and I'll add, only then can we actually do something for suffering humanity. The only remedy is to surrender to Vishnu. And again, surrender to Vishnu, taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, is to satisfy the desire of the Lord and the spiritual master. When will Srila Rupa Goswami was established within this material world? What is he established in this material world? The desire to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya. Give me shelter under his lotus feet. One should depend only on the causeless mercy of the Lord for deliverance and not even slightly on one's own strength. This is the perfect position of Krishna conscious person. Actually, one of the glorious qualities of Srila Prabhupada, which stood out so beautifully, he always gave full credit to his spiritual master. So moving. Many devotees felt that this was one of the most amazing things, and certainly quite different from all other so-called gurus and, self-invented spiritual teachers. The Lord is everyone's friend, but he's especially friendly to the surrendered soul. The simple process, simple for the simple, complicated for the complicated, therefore, is that the conditioned soul should remain surrendered to the Lord, and the Lord will give him all protection to keep him out of the clutches of material contamination. So the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is to always be thinking of Krishna. Man manam bhavamad bhakto majiji mam namaskaru. And Prabhupada is describing all the different activities to push on this Krishna consciousness movement, particularly and especially book distribution. And when going out to distribute Krishna's books, one naturally will think of Krishna. In glorifying the exalted deity worship that Maharaj Ambarish maintained in his palace, Prabhupada says that the austerity that Maharaj Ambarish underwent, deity worship in particular, keeping the routine work, punctuality. It's not that I'll just show up when I want, I'll come late, I'll leave early, It has to be done exactly on time. Prabhupada coming back to greet the deities. It's 30 seconds past due. It's very difficult to be a pujari if one is not on time. Cleanliness. Prabhupada insisted when celebrating the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. Prabhupada was just insistent on impeccable cleanliness. Shyamasundar accompanying Srila Prabhupada to Vrindavan in 1971, the first time that Prabhupada brought his disciples there. Well, actually, earlier at Achyutananda and Hayagriva. Not a Hayagriva, what was his name? Ramanuja, just some, as described in Leelamrita. One of the loose San Francisco followers hoping to have some adventures with Swamiji in India. But anyway, that Shyamasundar saying, the deities the temples were dirty. The deities were niggardly dressed, and the temples looked like they were like abandoned, even bombed out. But Prabhupada insisting on what is the actual standard, just raised, just like the Goswamis, they were sent to Vrindavan to excavate Vrindavan's lost glories. Those glories practically lost to memory. Radha Kund had been lost. And just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought Jagannath Das Babaji to confirm this is the place of Lord Chaitanya's appearance. So Lord Chaitanya personally himself, as is quite fitting, for the most exalted place in all of creation, Radha Kund, that the combined form of Radha and Krishna in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Kali Yuga avatar, is showing this is the place, this exact spot, which it had just turned into like a small paddy field in a rice agricultural place. So the full glory of Vrindavan, which is non-different than Goloka Vrindavan, that is the establishment of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. After some time, Prabhupada came back, and they had, if you look at pictures of the original time of the installation, April 20th, 1975, there was no Mahaprashadam and no book table. I think they've subsequently taken it out. Anyway, it's a new idea. But at that time, and the managers were very proud and excited to show Srila Prabhupada, just see, isn't this wonderful? It's first class. And Prabhupada had said that an intelligent man is conscious of his surroundings. And Prabhupada said, you say that it's first class? I say that it's 10th class. And he took his cane and pointed to the beautiful chandelier, which cost a fabulous amount of money. And what was in the chandelier? A pigeon's nest with all the feathers and fluff and all of the dander and all of the other things. You brought me 5,000, I've had to come 5,000 miles around the world to tell you there's a bird's nest in the chandelier. Take it out. And in terms of punctuality, he woke up Harikesh Maharaj, who was his servant at the time. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And he woke up. Yes, Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, did you hear that? Did you hear that? No, Srila Prabhupada, I didn't hear it. That's right, you didn't hear anything. Go out and wake the chowkidar and get him to ring the bell. And it became like such a, such a simple thing. It turned into such a ordeal to get it to be done. And Prabhupada said, I am judging the entire management of this temple if you can get the bell to ring on time. So it is very interesting to see how all of these personalities, the Lord has appeared, and as we were saying in the beginning, now they're conscious, okay, here is the real standard. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I'm his eternal servant. The atmosphere and the consciousness that supports that one-to-one personal relationship compared to what we had just been doing in forgetfulness and what everyone says. And it's interesting that all the important personalities, they are speaking different things, but it was the people in general who 2 verses ago, the members of the assembly, arguably what they're saying is the most beautiful and the most poignant, and especially for us in this Kali Yuga. And why is Shukadeva Goswami, he's appearing after the sages at Naimisharanya? We understand that Lord Krishna has left the planet, and with him all religious to now where have religious principles gone for shelter? And it's revealed, Sutta Goswami, who heard, was there in that assembly, Shukadeva Goswami, the Śrimad Bhāgavatam. The Śrimad Bhāgavatam, one time, one of Srila Prabhupada's young devotees, I believe in Los Angeles, 1968, maybe I'm wrong where it was, but it was early on, is Joan of Arc in the Śrimad Bhāgavatam? And Prabhupada said, if she is with God, then she is in the Śrimad Bhāgavatam. In other planets, or in other universes, many, many cantos. Prabhupada even said that historians will mark this time, how the world is changed by the Krishna consciousness movement. But the point I'm trying to make is that Shukadeva Goswami personally chose different, he could have, and also Maharaj Parikshit is asking questions. Now I want to hear this and that about this personality. Digressing to hear what the conversation between Maitreya and Vidura, which basically is the 3rd and 4th cantos. So here within this appearance of Lord Vishnu in the sacrificial arena, the members of the assembly address the Lord. O exclusive shelter for all who are situated in troubled life. Of course, the Lord is right here. But if he were to appear to us directly, we would take it as something very, very amazing. So the pure devotee, Prabhupada, and all the acharyas have recommended the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. A special incarnation, half man, half lion, the fearsome form of Lord Nrsingadev, who is revealed. Lord Prahlad Maharaj is worshiping Govinda when he's being thrown off the cliff by Hiranyakashipu's evil henchmen. It is Govinda who is catching him in his beautiful lotus arm. He understood that this beautiful Lord Govinda has now taken the form of Lord Nrsingadev. And of course, he rebuffed the tempting idea that I should take a benediction. I am not a vanik, I'm not a merchant. It's not, I give and now I get payment. But he was simply praying for the fallen conditioned souls. He doesn't give up his devotional service to take a benediction. Now I want my name, fame, profit, adoration, and distinction. O exclusive shelter for all who are situated in troubled life. In this formidable fort of conditional existence, the time element, like a snake, is always looking for an opportunity to strike. This world is full of ditches of so-called distress and happiness. There are many ferocious animals always ready to attack. The fire of lamentation is always blazing, and the mirage of false happiness is always alluring. But one has no shelter from them. Thus, foolish persons live in the cycle of birth and death, always overburdened in discharging their so-called duties. And we do not know when they will accept the shelter of your lotus feet. Purport: persons who are not in Krishna consciousness are living a very precarious life, as described in this verse. But all these circumstantial conditions are due to there is no scarcity of anything in this material world, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has taught. The only thing scarce is Krishna consciousness. And such a stark realization, such a realization of how stark this fact is powerfully afforded in this New York City. So much opulence, so many billionaires, so much everything. People come here because the excitement and all of that variety of stuff is not where they come from. There's this real estate, I think they do around the country and other. But anyway, Street Easy, and they had their new ad campaign. Don't become a former New Yorker. And they have some East Village hipster, riding on a lawnmower in the suburbs. And he's saying that there's a lot of green grass here, but the grass is definitely not greener. What else? Left Cobble Hill, Brooklyn in 2021, some couple. We thought we would leave and we would go somewhere, but we ended up nowhere. A Brooklyn dad outside of Brooklyn is only a dad. Don't become a former New Yorker. But it's a desert. There's no Krishna consciousness. So we utilize the opportunity of so many people in one place, in one time, to propagate Srila Prabhupada's pure message, which is the qualitative to the highest degree, mixed with that opportunity for as much quantitativeness as possible. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to give relief to all these bewildered and distressed persons. Therefore, it is the greatest relief work for all of human society. Get a job. This is the supreme work. Prabhupada was being asked these obnoxious questions in his arrival in either Melbourne or Sydney, Australia. Do you people work? And I said, do you work? Does Srila Prabhupada work? So I work harder than you. I only sleep 3 or 4 hours a day. I travel all around the world. I'm this age. I'm working much harder than you. It is the greatest relief work for all of human society, and the workers thereof are the greatest well-wishers, for they follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, who is the greatest friend of all living entities. So we should always keep very firmly fixed up in the mission of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and work very, very hard, body, mind, words, put our whole heart, emotion, psyche, intelligence, everything into spreading the gift of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada. And by that, we will always be protected from very embarrassing, illusory bewilderment, allurement, and fall down. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. The verse once again. Bhrigu Muni said, "My dear Lord, all living entities beginning from the highest, namely Lord Brahma, down to the ordinary ant, are under the influence of the insurmountable spell of illusory energy, and thus they are ignorant of their constitutional position. Everyone believes in the concept of the body, and all are thus submerged in the darkness of illusion. They are actually unable to understand how you live in every living entity as the supersoul, nor can they understand your absolute position. But you are the eternal friend and protector of all surrendered souls. Therefore, please be kind toward us and forgive all of our offenses." Hare Krishna. Anyone would like to ask a question or comment? We have a few minutes.
Hare Krishna. I had a question about this verse. He was mentioning about Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are also under the illusion of the body. And that's a little bit bewildering to me because they're guna avatars of the Lord.
Yeah.
Especially, but Lord Brahma can be considered a jiva, but Lord Shiva himself is not a jiva. He's in like Shiram Dadi Vikara Vishesha Yoga, like yogurt and milk. It's how do we understand?
That's why I gave the example of Lord Shiva's bewilderment by Mohini Murti. And it says here, all but Vishnu. Archita Prabhu. Give Prabhuji the microphone.
Demigods can be bewildered by Krishna. That's just the relationship. That's the position. And that's why they're demigods. They're not God. So we shouldn't be surprised. And by Krishna's will, even the pure devotees appear to be an illusion, like Arjuna. One time one devotee wrote to Prabhupada and said, "You say that when Krishna's pastimes start here and then immediately start somewhere else, and then you say that Arjuna is always with Krishna, so does that mean that Arjuna is expanding?" Yes. By Krishna's mercy, Arjuna is traveling with him everywhere. He's so pure. But at the same time, by Krishna's desire, he's into illusion. So anybody, any pure devotee, and in relation to Brahma, another devotee wrote to Prabhupada and said, "You said that the demigods are not necessarily pure devotees. How about Lord Brahma? Is he a pure devotee?" Prabhupada said, "No." Then how is he the head of our sampradaya? You see? So anybody can be put into illusion by Krishna. That's Krishna's unique position. Even Balaram in the Brahma Viharan, he's wondering what's going on.
The example of Maharaj Parikshit being hungry and thirsty and garlanding the Samaka Rishi with the dead snake. That was it was kind of a setup so that ultimately the literary incarnation of Krishna, the Śrimad Bhāgavatam, would be revealed to the world, and they were saying that everyone in the Kali Yuga will get light from this Purana. It's to wear the religious principles of, but seemingly and even it's described that Maharaj Parikshit, after doing that, was self-reflective. I think I've done a wrong thing. I shouldn't have done that. Anything else, Narna?
I just wanted to take maybe a minute or two to remind the devotees that Today is a special day of the completion of 13 years of Ram Roy Peru's extremely hard work and dedication. And just maybe if you wanted to speak something more about the steadiness and importance of keeping Harinam Sankirtan in the foremost of our movement.
Well, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the Yuga Dharma, and Prabhupada says in one place, people are not interested in the temples, church, and mosques erected by their forefathers. So therefore, we have to bring the temple to the people. And the holy name is extremely merciful and benedictory. The offenses in the deity worship are not considered in the holy name. So for most people, the only way that they're going to be able to get any type of mercy, just like you were saying, everyone believes in the body as the self. In Los Angeles, you have Hollywood right across the street, you know. I'm a movie star, you know. Right. Some of them come eat in the restaurant. We're trying to distribute books, but say 40,000 people walk past us in a given day in the subway. Everyone has to hear the holy name, except maybe those who have the headphones. But, you know, I think we even penetrate whatever thing is going on in their headphones. And they might be oblivious, this and that, but the holy name, because it's completely conscious, it's Krishna himself, you know, whether they acknowledge or understand or not, it doesn't mean anything. And because it is Krishna himself, and wherever there is Krishna, there is morality, there is victory, there is everything good. So by keeping Krishna always predominant in the public, that's why Prabhupada wanted there to be 24-hour kirtan, especially in Vrindavan and Mayapur. He said that if the demons shut down the whole movement around the world, that if the 24-hour kirtan was going, if the temple of Vrindavan and Mayapur, that would be enough. The nucleus, the seed would be there to regenerate everything once again. And Prabhupada wanted that there be 24-hour kirtan in all of his temples. So what to speak of New York City, where Prabhupada started the whole movement, right here in this place. It would be most fitting and appropriate, and what to speak of a desired offering to his divine grace for his pleasure, to establish that. And then practically, so many people become interested in Krishna consciousness and come to the temple and deepen their involvement in Krishna consciousness and even become initiated devotees and brahmanas simply, and their main and first entrance to understand that there even is a Krishna consciousness movement to take shelter of was because the holy name appeared in public where they were. Kind of like in the Marine Corps. Shoot them all and let God sort them out afterwards. Our job is to arrange the meeting. Come forth and meet thy God, the holy name, the Redeemer. So, if one just fixes up one's mind and faith that Krishna is your what does Krishna say? So I've told you everything. Is your mind right? Is your intelligence right? Yes. I am firm and free from doubt and ready to act according to your instructions. In the end of the chapter, The Modes of Material Nature, Prabhupada is describing how a devotee is equal in all different, the bodily conception of life is such that if one praises us, we become very happy. But if we criticize or defame you, then you become very unhappy. But all of these things are based on the body. A pure devotee is completely transcendental to all these things. Whether I'm honored, whether I'm dishonored, whether you praise me, whether you falsely accuse me and blame me of something that I had nothing to do with. You people you people are the cause of all the problems here, right? And some madman is railing. Who cares? You're fixed in what's right, and you just do it. Here it is. Run with it. What's the problem? All right. Thank you very much. If anybody wants to get their picture took, be at Washington Square Park at 7 o'clock, and you will be there. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
His Grace Ram Roy Prabhu ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna.